What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today we're talking about this.
People say, "Oh, did you see an alien?" Right? Well, what I saw was material.
You're a first-hand witness.
A first-hand witness to the fact that we've been studying this as a government for
Right.
a long time, and that we are in possession of very exotic material that may very well not be from here.
If you told me everything you know, would you go to jail?
Yes, or potentially worse, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. Wow, well.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Now, we'll get to what today's video is about in just a second. But real quick, I put out a video yesterday about the moon landing debate that was on the Danny Jones podcast. Please go give that video some love. It did not get a lot of traction, and I worked really hard on that video. So please go check it out. It's really, really good. Now, let's jump into today's video. What's it about? Well, it's about some comments that Lue Elizondo made that a lot of people have been surprised about. But what I'm going to show you in today's video is that there's been a rumor swirling around kind of about this. So essentially, James Fox went to Lue Elizondo's new bar called Bombshells. Hey, that's my word. Anyway, and they sat down for an interview where they were going to ask each other 5 questions.
We're sitting here in Bombshell American Cantina in Buffalo, Wyoming, with none other than the legend, Lue Elizondo.
Oh, I don't know about legend.
I'm a little starstruck, I'm not gonna lie. And we're gonna ask each other 5 questions. And he's gonna ask me 5 as someone who's been on the inside, and I've been on the outside looking in. So.
By the way, none of us know what each other's going to ask, for the record. So
Yes.
He didn't tell me, I didn't tell him.
What's funny is that Lue Elizondo never asked James Fox one question in this video. It's just James Fox asking Lue Elizondo the questions. So that was kind of funny that just didn't happen. Maybe there's another video going to come out about that or something, or I don't know. But anyway, let's jump into exactly what this is all about. I don't want to bury the lead.
Lou, do you consider yourself a first-hand or a second-hand witness to the UAP or UFO phenomenon?
Firsthand, but let's deconstruct that a little bit, because I was always a nuts and bolts guy. People say, "Oh, did you see an alien?" Right? Well, what I saw was material that a lot of scientists, very good scientists, prominent scientists in the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, were stymied by the origins. Right? It had such a unique property, and the way the molecules were arranged, without going into a lot of detail, required a level of specificity and technology that at the time we simply did not have. We simply didn't have it.
So you're saying that you're a first-hand witness?
A first-hand witness to the fact that we've been studying this as a government for
Right.
a long time, and that we are in possession of very exotic material that may very well not be from here.
Okay.
And technology.
Okay. So.
So Lue Elizondo is very particular about his wording there, right? About what he's seen exactly. So what do y'all think? Does this make Lue Elizondo a first-hand witness? Because this rumor has been swirling around about Lue Elizondo, and it came from none other than Dr. Stephen Greer. That's right. Because he claimed that Danny Sheehan from the New Paradigm Institute had told him that Lue Elizondo had been in a facility where a UFO was stored. Now, that's not exactly what Lue Elizondo said there, but that's kind of interesting. Now, look, this clip is really hard to find. I couldn't find it anywhere. The original place had been deleted, but luckily I had covered this on a video a long time ago. So check this out.
Now, Daniel Sheehan has also shared, and this is even more explosive, that Lue Elizondo has informed him that he, in fact, has been in a facility where an actual extraterrestrial vehicle was stored. Now, why is that important? Because he's all over the news, 60 Minutes, every mainstream news channel, along with his other cohorts in the cover-up, such as Leslie Keene, Nick Pope, Chris Mellon, and others, saying that we don't know what these are. Now, interestingly, he absolutely knows that some of these craft are in fact of extraterrestrial origin. He must also then know that some of them are ours. For example, the recent Jeremy Corbell interview on Fox News, where they were showing these triangles swarming, menacing our Navy ships. Every one of those pyramid triangular shaped objects with the flashing light on them are from either Northrop Grumman or Boeing or the Lockheed, most likely Northrop Grumman. Those are man-made UFOs. They're anti-gravity vehicles. Everyone in the aerospace industry at any level of clearance knows this. So this is a big problem. So I told Mr. Sheehan, I said, look, you have to be very careful. If you're going to work with this gentleman, you have to understand that he is a master of disinformation. I am quoting from a senior CIA official who wrote me about this when they first emerged after Unacknowledged came out in 2017. And of course, Daniel Sheehan knows this. He told me point blank, yes, we know this. The main reason he's working with him is to represent him and to get him to come clean. So it's a very interesting strategy. What Daniel Sheehan is trying to do.
So that's kind of interesting. And Danny Sheehan's strategy is to befriend Luis Elizondo to get him to come clean, right? That's kind of interesting, right? Because remember, originally Danny Sheehan worked for Dr. Stephen Greer. Then he moved to start working for Luis Elizondo, and Dr. Stephen Greer did not like that at all. Something that's kind of interesting is that recently, Jeremy Corbell on his Weaponized podcast with George Knapp.
I think Lue Elizondo probably has a large history with the UFO thing that is not public yet.
When they were talking about Age of Disclosure, talking about why David Grush wasn't in the film, right? Jeremy had this to say.
I'd love to ask you guys. I mean, we didn't see Dave Grush in there, but we did hear from Dave Grush, an interview, Jeremy, that you helped set into motion on Fox News. And I'm sure people look at this like it's all being, managed, stage managed, that the movie comes out and then Dave's on this and Fox does a week long of series and Bill Maher does interviews and it's all being manipulated by some invisible beings or something. But that interview happened a long time ago. Dave would have been a valuable addition to the movie. Why do you suppose he wasn't in it?
Well, I think he definitely chose not to be in it. I remember helping to make that connection with Dan so that they could have that conversation. I think Dave has a kind of different tactic to getting out what he knows to be true. Dave is a true whistleblower. This is not a managed message with Dave. Not that it is with the other guys, but it is at least authorized. With Dave, he really is working on a fundamental attitude that nobody has the right to hold this back. I do think that he has a difference of opinion, and that's for him to talk about when it comes to this stuff. He really thinks everybody should just open up and say what they know. For example, he thinks that if Lue Elizondo was part of the Legacy UFO program, that he should just say it. Go out on the limb and just say it. And so I think that's the difference of opinion. I think the film would have had Dave participate if Dave had agreed, but I think that he's just on a different path. Am I explaining that clearly?
And that's kind of interesting, right? Wants him to come clean. I don't know. Is there something here? Is there even more that Luis Elizondo isn't saying? Was he part of the UFO Legacy program and what Danny Sheehan told Stephen Greer, if that's even true, right? That he was in a facility with a stored UFO. I mean, that would be more than just materials. But if you remember at the very end of the clip, Luis Elizondo, under his breath, and James kind of moves on, he says, and technology.
And technologies.
Okay, so
I don't know. Is this like the same thing? But look, there's even more to this. So let's continue.
if you told me everything you know, would you go to jail?
Yes, or potentially worse, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. There's a reason why I live where I live. There's a reason why I'm always heavily armed. There's a reason why you met my 5 German Shepherds. My family and I have very significant security concerns. This is not a way for people. I'm not trying to people feel sorry for me or feel pity for me. I mean, I chose this path with my eyes wide open. But there are a lot of dangers here, and there's a lot of people that want to see me fail. They want to see this topic get pushed back into the corner, into the recesses of the obscure for the next 80 years. And there's it's
for another 80 years.
For another 80 years, right?
Yeah.
For another 80 years. And also, I will never discuss classified information. I made it very clear. And I've had a lot of people, or when I first came out early on, that said, "Oh, Lue's full of, he's not who he is." And then as time went on, people realized I was, and I did not throw people under the bus just to save my own skin or to prove to people what I knew or what I was saying. I'm not that guy. I never have been. I never will be. I will never do that. There's a lot of people out there that will do it. Say, see, look, they can prove who I am. I'm not that guy. I think we've come collectively very far in this conversation together. We are handling this conversation, I think, the best way we know how. Mm-hmm. Is it ultimately the best way? I don't know. Hindsight's always 20/20. Look, I've been doing this now for 8-9 years. Do I make mistakes? All the time. All you can do is own up to it. That's the problem in this UFO community, is that people think that, well, no one makes mistakes, and they put this unrealistic expectation on your shoulders that you have to carry the water for everybody because you know the truth, and you can't afford to ever make a mistake. Let me make this clear. I'm human. I make mistakes every single day. The only difference between me and some of these people out there is that I admit my mistakes. I take responsibility for my mistakes. Yeah. And that's the difference. And it doesn't make me better than anybody. It doesn't make me smarter, or it doesn't make me more successful. It just makes me Lue. That's what I do. And if a lot of things I get right, there's some things I get wrong. And when I get wrong, the very first thing I do is I address it. This I got wrong. And here's why, and this is how, and this is what I'm going to try to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's all you can do. And that's not just in this topic. That's as a family man. That is as a citizen. That is as a American loving, as a husband, as a father, as a taxpayer. In every aspect of my life. Anybody out there who says they don't make mistakes, you're full of crap. You're living in denial. And in fact, I can't trust somebody like that because they feel and they believe that they're infallible. Yeah. And this community is full of egos like that, and it's a shame.
I totally understand if someone has classified information and doesn't want to say it. Of course, that's against the law, right? But my question has always been, how can some of the other things that Lue Elizondo is saying not be classified? How can it not be classified that he revealed that we have exotic technology? How would that not be classified? Again, doesn't make sense. Something's not adding up. Because I think the real truth is that they know what it is, and it's not alien or non-human. They just say, well, not made by us, and not this, and not that, right? Like, that, I think that's just a way around it, right? I don't know. What do y'all think? Am I overthinking this? And look, there's one more question that James asked that I found to be interesting.
If you were going to stand up at a podium and you had 30 seconds to talk to the world about the phenomenon, UAP, UFOs, what would you say?
Wow. Well, I would use up the full 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because if I only have 30 seconds, and I'm going to give 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a great question. And you know what? It deserves a good answer, and it's one that I would not be doing you a service if I just flippantly threw something out. Let me think about that, and let me get back to you, and let me get back to you on that. Okay. That is that's a great question, because you know what? Maybe. And I just thought about this now. Maybe I need to start thinking in terms like that, James. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think about that till you just mentioned it right now. So before I say something reckless, let me internalize that. Okay. Let me think about that.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, give me a mulligan on that one.
No.
And I'll,
Alini, you're good? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
James, it is always an honor and privilege. Always an honor and privilege.
So that's kind of interesting that Lue Elizondo hasn't really even thought about that, right? Because I don't know, is disclosure really on his mind? Or really, maybe he just hasn't thought about, well, if I was the one to say it, what would I say, right? And look, there's also another question that James Fox asked Luis Elizondo, but I didn't really want to cover it because it was just about like all the drama on Twitter and all this stuff and yada yada. So look, I'm going to put a link in the description to James Fox's video that he uploaded to his Twitter account or X account or whatever you want to call it. So you can go check out the full clip. But again, never in that clip does Luis Elizondo ever ask James a question. It just seems like Luis Elizondo ranted for so long. And essentially that one question about all the drama and stuff, he spent half the video as that, more than half. So it's like, and they talked about the bar and Bombshell, which is great. No problem. Wish him the best. I wish everyone at that bar the best. I worked in the service industry for many, many, many years. And so I'm always going to support the service industry and people trying to build a business in the service industry. But I will say, Bombshells is my word. All right, vetters. We'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
Hey, Patrick. My name's Joe Bohack. I'm just a fan of your channel. I think it's awesome. With Age of Disclosure and everything that's going on and all the talk about it, I feel like there's a lot of factions and a lot of kind of like everybody picks it apart. Where is the line when, I guess, when all of the UFO, UAP, UFOologists, whatever you call it, when the community as a whole just kind of comes together and says, this is a unified thing. We're going to push this, warts and all or whatever. Do we think we're going to get anything out of the general public if we're seemingly infighting to the passerby, right? So and it's not you, it's like everybody kind of like looks at this newest thing that came out and everybody has an opinion on it and everybody wants to talk about it. But when I think about like how to get stuff in front of people, I feel like I guess what I'm just saying is I feel like it's so fractured. This community just seems so I don't know, critical of each other and stuff. And it's interesting to me because I think that if we looked at things that could be what keeps us in common, the common message is this extraterrestrial, interdimensional, is this our own crafts? Have we actually reverse engineered this stuff? It's all ready to go. We just need to come clean about it. I think that's where, you kind of just wonder about what would it take to get more unity within the community, I guess, is my question. And it's not directed at you. It's more just directed at the fact that I think if you could get more of a unified front from everybody, from all the talking heads, from all the celebrities in this community, to just go after it as one unit, I think you could make a lot more waves. And I'm all for unity for everybody. So I just, when you watch, like, I don't know, for example, like the GOP, like I don't agree with them, but man, do they stay together? They stay together, right? And when they stay together, they move mountains. It's not the mountains I want them to move, but they're sure doing it, right? Because they stick together. So it's just like, I don't know if there's any way to mend those fractures within the community. I think we would see a lot more movement. Anyway, that's just my take. Nothing to put on your channel or anything. But thanks for everything that you do. I think you're awesome.